In the 1980s, a widely circulated urban legend known as Hanako San of the toilet became a household name in Japan. Whenever children misbehaved, adults would warn them that disobedient kids might encounter Hanako San, causing fear that would often lead to compliance. Hanako San became a nightmare for Japanese children, resulting in many of them being too afraid to use the toilet alone. But who exactly was Hanako San, the figure that instilled such fear in children? Today, we'll delve into this sensational urban legend that captivated Japan at the time. In Japan, there's a schoolyard legend that if you stay on campus late and find yourself needing the restroom, you might encounter someone in the adjacent stall asking if you need toilet paper. If you answer yes, a girl in a red skirt with short hair might hand you some. After using it, you might be pulled into Hanako's stall. Hanako-san is a legendary spirit believed to haunt school toilets in Japan. Her appearance is described differently in various accounts, but she is often depicted with a bobbed haircut and dressed in a red skirt or dress. There's a schoolyard rumor among students about Hanako-san, a spirit that can be summoned. The method involves going to the third-floor girls' restroom at night, entering the third stall, knocking on the door 3 times, and asking, "Hanako, are you there?" If someone inside responds with, "I'm here," the door will slowly open, revealing a young girl in a red skirt. She then pulls the person who knocked into the restroom and supposedly drowns them in the toilet, resulting in a terrifying death. There's another version of the legend where Hanako doesn't drown the person but instead pulls them into hell, making them disappear forever from this world. Then there's an even more outlandish version where a 3-meter-long, 3-headed lizard emerges from the toilet and devours the person, supposedly because they were invading Hanako's privacy. In any of these versions, summoning Hanako leads to dire consequences for the person involved. So why would such an innocent-looking girl turn out to be such a cruel monster? To understand this urban legend, we need to explore the various origins of Hanako, which are all quite tragic and contribute to her terrifying nature. The most widely circulated origin story of the Hanako legend tells of a frail and sickly student who became the target of bullying by a group of delinquent girls. One day after school, these girls dragged Hanako into the girls' restroom, specifically into the third stall, and proceeded to pour water on her through the cracks from above, causing her great discomfort in the freezing cold weather of winter. Hanako, already weak, pleaded with them to stop. Seeing Hanako's distress only amused the delinquent girls further, and they continued pouring water on her without mercy. After they tired of their cruel game, they left Hanako locked in the restroom overnight. By the time she was discovered the next day, Hanako had succumbed to the cold and perished in the restroom. Since that day, whenever a delinquent girl enters the restroom, she might hear someone crying in the adjacent stall. If she foolishly peers through the cracks to investigate, a mysterious force will drag her into the stall, ultimately leading to her head being forcibly plunged into the toilet until she drowns. Another variant of the Hanako legend suggests that she lived during the World War II era. One day, while playing hide-and-seek with a group of children, an air raid occurred. Hanako sought refuge in the third stall of the restroom. However, during the bombing, the restroom was hit and debris blocked the entrance to Hanako's stall. As the fire spread, Hanako was trapped and ultimately perished in the flames. Although both of the previous versions depict Hanako enduring tragic experiences, the following version I'm about to share is perhaps the most harrowing and closest to the urban legend. This story takes place around 1965. Hanako's father worked away from home for long periods, leaving Hanako and her mother to live in a village where Hanako attended the local elementary school. One day during class, Hanako suddenly felt a stomachache and asked the teacher for permission to use the restroom. After swiftly relieving herself, Hanako emerged from the restroom only to catch sight of the headmaster smoking in the boys' restroom. In Japan during that time, smoking by teachers at school was strictly prohibited. If caught, they faced dismissal and could be permanently banned from teaching. Startled by Hanako's presence, the headmaster quickly extinguished his cigarette and threatened Hanako, warning her not to tell anyone about what she had seen or else he would harm her. After that incident, every time Hanako encountered the headmaster at school, he would give her a sinister, knowing smile that sent shivers down her spine. Being just a child, Hanako was terrified and started living in constant fear. She avoided using the restroom alone at school, afraid of encountering the headmaster. Hanako's mother noticed her daughter's distress and relentlessly pressed her for an explanation. Eventually, Hanako confided in her mother about what had been happening. Outraged, her mother reported the incident to the education authorities, leading to widespread awareness of the issue. As a result, the headmaster was dismissed from his position and permanently barred from teaching. Hanako thought she wouldn't see the headmaster at school again and hoped for things to return to normal, but little did she know that it was only the beginning of her ordeal. One evening, after finishing their classroom duties, Hanako and a classmate agreed to walk home together. As they exited the classroom door, Hanako suddenly felt the need to use the restroom and asked her classmate to wait for her. However, the classmate, impatient, decided to leave on their own. Once inside the restroom and having just closed the door, Hanako heard someone entering. The person went from stall to stall, knocking and calling out, "Hanako, where are you? Let's play together." Recognizing the voice as the headmaster's, Hanako felt intense fear, her body freezing in terror. She held her breath and remained quiet. Undeterred by the lack of response, the headmaster continued pushing open each stall door. Suddenly, the voice outside ceased, and just as Hanako sighed with relief, a voice from above exclaimed, "I found you." The next day, Hanako's lifeless body was discovered in the restroom. The details of what transpired during that time remain a mystery, but her white dress was stained crimson with blood. Since then, the legend of Hanako spread far and wide. Some believe that Hanako appears in school restrooms to seek vengeance against the teacher who killed her. Others speculate that Hanako, tormented to death in the restroom and consumed by deep resentment, remains haunting the school, seeking companionship only to torment them as a form of twisted revenge. Although the urban legend of Hanako cannot be verified for its authenticity, there is a trend among students to engage in a daring challenge of summoning her. I want to caution all good children, never stay at school until late at night, and especially do not attempt to summon Hanako in the restroom during the night. While this is just a legend, if you happen to receive a response when summoning Hanako, have you planned your escape route? If you enjoy my channel, please help by hitting the subscribe button and turning on the notification bell so you won't miss my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching until the end, and I'll see you next time.